Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Ask Dave. And today I want to talk about one of my all-time favorite pieces by Handel, his Serenade opera masque little thing. He didn't know what to call it. Neither do we. Acis and Galatea. I love Acis and Galatea. Now, Acis and Galatea is well, it's a thing. I mean, it started life as a very sort of stripped down, minimal thing for the Chandos folks, as in the Chandos anthems, those things, you know, for three people and a tiny little chorus and a tiny little orchestra. And then some other people got a hold of the music and it became his most popular piece in versions not by him. So he worked on it, and he worked on it for the rest of his life. And most recordings now are on period instruments, and they try to go back to his original conception, which is lost, basically, actually, and do it in the most stripped down possible way. And there are wonderful performances like that. And I may talk about some of them, too. I'm not kidding. But the fact of the matter is that the reason that they're done in the most stripped down manner possible is not because they're better. They're done that way because it's cheaper. It's really that simple. There's no reason not to add a few people to the choir, add some strings to the wonderful overture so it doesn't sound so anemic, use a real chorus. I mean, come on, people. Do something fun. And even more fun is that in one of the later versions, he added a part for the carillon. The carillon was like a keyed glockenspiel type thing that he used in Saul and a few other works. And oh, it's just a wonderful addition to the. I mean, Handel was a colorist. And so you don't want to strip him down if you can avoid it. It needs to be, you need to appreciate him in all of his, I wouldn't say grandeur, but variety, just sheer timbral variety. And so my favorite, Acis and Galatea, which is maybe hard to find now, but I don't care, is Neville Marriner's, because it has the glockenspiel part. No, because it's not teeny tiny. It has all of that Handelian joie de vivre that his music has to have, but it's reasonably sized to create enough contrast to really make the piece come to life in a very vivid way. You've got a wonderful cast. It's Jill Gomez and Robert Tier and Philip Langridge and Benjamin Luxon. I mean, you're not going to find a better bunch of singers. And it's, of course, the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields. It's not a terribly long work. It's 96 minutes. In this performance, so it's an hour and a half and a little bit, about the same length as Mahler's Third Symphony. And then you've got a whole bunch of other Handel and Arne and Boyce and Hook and other people doing stuff to fill out the disc. This is a Decca twofer. And it's just wonderful. It's a fabulous performance. But the piece is such a fun story. I mean, it has a very, very minimal plot. Acis is a shepherd. Galatea is a sea nymph. And they're in love, and so in Act 1, they're in love. That's Act 1. They sing about how wonderful they are and how much they love everything and how happy they are. And happy we is where the glockenspiel comes in. Do 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 do. They go happy, 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 happy we, happy, happy, happy. It's all they do is happy, 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 happy. It's very happy, in case you didn't know. Then in Act 2, we meet Polyphemus. Polyphemus is a cyclops. He's in love with Galatea. She tells him to go take a hike. So he takes a boulder and he crushes Acis to death. And so Galatea turns him into a stream which flows eternally towards the ocean with the help of Neptune, by the way, you know, who's sympathetic. And so she, as a sea nymph, can be with him through all eternity as natural elements. And Polyphemus gets nothing, and he's miserable. And that's the story. Now, Handel set the story previously. He did it as an Italian serenata called Acis, Galatea e Polifemo, or something like that. Polifemo, yeah, which is just as wonderful, by the way. And that is a small work. I mean, it's just for three singers and you know, a small instrumental ensemble, but it's just as marvelous as this English version. And oh my goodness, what fun it is to compare the two. I'm going to do a talk about the two of them at some point. I did compare the two of them in my book, my Handel book, where a chapter called A Pair of Aces. Get it? And it really is fun to do because the most remarkable thing is that Handel, who borrowed constantly from himself and everybody else, wrote two complete pieces on the same story and borrowed nothing one from the other. Kind of fascinating. But it's an extraordinary work, and this is just the most delicious recording, and the one of the few that I think is up to scale, that gives the story the emphasis and weight that it needs without ever compromising anything of its pastoral lightness or Handelian daintitude or any of the things that the people who like the earlier performances, many of which I like, by the way. I'm not criticizing them on the basis of using period instruments or any of that stuff. They're just wonderful earlier performances of this work on period instruments, but I like this one. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.